Everyone, this is Andrew from Feel the PEMF, and I'm really excited to be talking with him today and sharing this video with you. And I know he with all of his contacts and people because we've had a long-standing relationship working together utilizing PEMF since 2014. Andrew will tell a little bit about himself, and but we've been working together for a long time, and he has a lot of interesting information about pulsed electromagnetic field that I feel like is very important to share with you, the Thrive community, and the rest of the world. So thanks, Andrew, for taking time to spend with me tonight to talk about this subject.
Hey, it is good to be here, and it's always good to see you and talk with you. I think it's over 17 years, 18 years now. I was always in sales, and I found this technology selling therapeutic equipment to chiropractors. This manufacturer was across from me in a booth at some Vegas conference, and I fell in love with it. I got great results the first time I used it. Basically, I had to have a machine, and I got one, learned how to use it, and I've been doing it ever since. So I met some really good people that got behind me and got us into integrative medicine world. We got some great doctors that promoted PEMF at these conferences. They really realized that PEMF is a great catalyst to what they're trying to do. Now I have, lots of people around the country selling the equipment, and we're just a team of people that really believes in the product, and it's been a good run. I can't believe it's almost 20 years doing this now.
My first official question for you is, can you explain for people what PEMF is? What does PEMF stand for? What is it? How does it work? Just a general basic 101.
PEMF is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. We are spinning electricity, creating a magnetic field, pulsing it through the body. Our machines either are old analog machines, which is a series of parts working together to pulse the energy through an attachment, a loop, like a mat. We have helmets, we have seats, we have all kinds of stuff now. But basically, we can send this energy into your body. This energy is smaller than electrons. It is stimulating at such a small level that it affects like the Krebs cycle. You have all these little tiny functions in our body, and the energy is so small that it actually affects those things. So you're making things spin around in your body that weren't spinning as fast before. And it that's why it's such a jump start to the system. It's not just a muscle stimulator. This is affecting the nucleus of the cell, the mitochondria in the cell. The energy is that small.
So to help people understand, these units come with attachments that have loops that are rubber on the outside or silicone. They have electricity going through them in a circuit. And what happens when you create a closed circuit of electricity is it generates a magnetic field. So magnetism, we're familiar with magnets. When we stick a magnet on the refrigerator, it sticks to the refrigerator, right? How many Gauss does a magnet that goes on the refrigerator have, Andrew?
Those are static magnets. They can go up to like 10 to 100 Gauss, but a static magnet is only going to go into your body about a 16th of an inch.
Right. Companies
Yeah.
that have made bracelets and beds and socks and shoe inserts and all kinds of things that have magnetic therapy associated with them. But the
Yeah.
field that's generated, that's what creates the magic, right? It's the magnetic field. And because
Yes.
Earth has a magnetic field, sleeping on the earth, walking barefoot, like our cells evolved with magnetic field, like coexisting.
We're in a magnetic field all the time. The Earth can put out 100 Gauss, 200 Gauss. If you go to the beach and lie in the sand, you feel pretty good. If you lie in the grass, you feel pretty good. You go out and do your gardening, you come back inside, you're like, well, I feel pretty good. Why? Because you're not standing on a concrete foundation that's blocking all the magnetic field. Imagine, concentrating that and then putting it through your body. People go to the vortexes in Sedona and, they sit in these vortexes of magnetic field to feel better, right? There's things around the world where people go to get this type of healing in these, healing places around the world. Where imagine having a machine that has a loop or a mat that puts out, that energy times 100, times 200. We're supposed to be in a magnetic field. If you were to box us in a lead box, we would slowly die, because magnetic field is needed for our cells to metabolize. PEMF it's come a long way. It was big in Europe and big in other places. And now with the help of Dr. Gary Gordon blasting us into the integrative world, a lot more manufacturers came out and started making stuff like ours. And then more and more, smaller low power devices are out there. So it may have led to some confusion, but I think people are circling back to high intensity PEMF because they want something they can feel. They want something that works. And you just don't get that with low power equipment. High intensity PEMF is the way to go.
Thank you for explaining that. And I felt it's important for people to know how long you've been in this industry, because PEMF is now starting to be acknowledged and people are learning about it more and more. And there's a lot of equipment that's coming out on the market. I feel so blessed because you were my first experience with PEMF, this particular technology, this particular brand of unit. I think back on just the divine interaction that was happening back then, what this unit has helped me do with people in the Thrive Wellness Center clinic for almost 9 years, and now outside in my wellness programs, finding out after my mom had stage 4 cancer and we go to one of the top holistic cancer clinics in the world and they have this unit. I was like, how divine is this? I have one that my mom can use to support her body. So I wanted to ask you to share what is the difference, because there's beamer units, they're called, a lot of people have heard of that and have invested in those. And I think it's important that people understand, what makes this particular technology that you have and that, I've invested in and use in my practice so special.
Well, PEMF has come a long way. PEMF in general was this kind of voodoo, right? It was just this energy that came out of a mat, and some people felt it on some machines and some people didn't. And basically, people were like, does it work? Is it real? There was so much unknown and even a little bit of confusion over the years, especially when a lot of machines came out. But there's lots of different types of machines out there that are, spinning electricity and creating PEMF, but deliver very little Gauss. And Gauss is just the way that we measure magnetic field. You talk about beamers and Curatrons and IMRSs and all these different machines. It's hard to say people are measuring Gauss all the same. We all measure it a little bit differently. A lot of it's just calculus, right? So these low power devices are, low power because they're only putting out maybe 1 Gauss, 10 Gauss, 100 Gauss. I've seen some maybe up to 500 Gauss with some of the attachments that they have, but a lot of them are incorporating frequency therapy along with them. I honestly think that low power PEMF there's a purpose for it. I think that people who are healthy and want to stay healthy, if you have one of these devices, you'll probably be healthier than your neighbor, okay, that doesn't have one. By the time people find you and I, Amber, they are in need of something more. They need to literally jumpstart their body because they're full of toxins. They're already ill or diseased or have an autoimmune issue. There's something going on where 1 Gauss isn't going to do it. With our machines, we are putting out thousands and thousands of Gauss of magnetic field. It's strong enough to fire muscle, nerve. It could even be a little bit uncomfortable on the body because the intensity is so great with our machines. We always trying to emphasize that these are going to make a difference in your life immediately because you can feel it. You can walk away from a session saying, wow, that definitely did something today. And you're going to reschedule, you're going to show up for your appointments, and you're going to partner with somebody like you who has one of our machines. So as far as like the integrative world and, alternative cancer treatments and, these centers, the main thing that they're using the equipment for, Amber, is cell charge. Basically, cell charge is huge. When you're unhealthy, your cell membrane potential drops. Your cells become clogged with toxins, and they just don't function well. And the membrane isn't able to pull in nutrients anymore, and it can't push out any toxins. So it's very hard for somebody with nutrition alone to break that cycle. It's hard. So what they use magnetic field for is to reset the cell membrane potential of these cells so that it goes to a better charge. A healthy cell is charged between -70 and -90 millivolts. If your cell membranes are at that charge, you're going to be able to push out a toxin and absorb a nutrient. If you have autoimmune issues, your cell membrane potential drops to, -60, -50, -40, and you stop absorbing stuff, you stop kicking things out. So, even if they are eating healthy, even if they are, trying to detox, their cells just hang on to everything because there's no power there to push it out or absorb it. When it drops into the 30s, -30s, that's where cancer likes to live. The cells become acidic. It's a very unhealthy state. These integrative wellness centers are finding as they use PEMF, and within minutes, the cells are reset to a -70 and -90 millivolt charge. And all of a sudden, these cells are able to pull in nutrients and they're able to push out toxins. If you look at the integrative oncology, one of their main treatments is vitamin C. Well, vitamin C is an antioxidant. If you get an antioxidant into a cancer cell, it will kill it. That's where have found that just by changing the charge of the cell, they can allow that antioxidant to get through and hopefully kill those bad cells. Energy is everything. It's all around us. If we're at the right charge, we're going to thrive. We're going to be healthy, right? If it starts to lower, autoimmune stuff, then disease, and then zero is you met your maker, right? So everything is energy with these, and more integrative centers are finding out that they need to change the energy of the person in order to make progress with the patient. Low power devices in general just are not going to have enough. One pulse of our equipment, just one pulse through your body, is like using low power PEMF for 30 hours. So it's really it's just in a different playing field. As far as the type of equipment, we can't make these devices for a few $100 and sell them for $5,000. We just can't. These are powerful units. The beauty of it is we can actually sell. We have some now. When you bought your machine, we only had one, right? We had one machine and it was over $20,000.
Yeah.
We have home units now that start at 5,500. We have some that start for 4,000 now too. We've come a long way. It's just technology always gets smaller, lighter, more affordable, and we're here. And that's what's exciting about this.
I decided I didn't have an extra 25,000, which is actually mine ended up costing me almost 30,000 because I did a high interest
Lease, yeah, I
lease.
remember. Hmm.
And I did it because it was such an impactful experience having the unit, what it did for me. I needed to pay whatever it took to get one of these units because it was so impactful. And, your statement about how you feel it, it's true. I would say about 95% of the clients that utilized PEMF in my practice walked out with an effect, with something that they could say, yes, this changed, this shifted. I felt better in this regard. This this changed. I can lift my arm over my head, after one session where they could only bring it to here beforehand. I slept through the night. I haven't slept through the night in, years. Crazy testimonials. So thank you for clarifying that because, I think it's important to understand quality and value, especially when looking at technology that's you're putting through your body and you're doing it for a specific purpose, and you want to make sure it works.
You Google PEMF, it just says pain, inflammation, circulation, range of motion. But we just know that there's so much more to that now. It's evolved into every type of practice, from chiropractic to, you know, uh, even like skin like therapy and anti-aging and stem cells. And, I mean, is being used everywhere, so it's really has evolved. I wanted you to tell the story about how that weekend you found PEMF. I thought it was a kind of a funny story, so I was hoping you could talk about that.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to.
I remember it was like in iridology, right? Like we were.
Yeah, I was at an
Was that?
iridology conference. Yeah, pretty sure it was 2014. I'd driven 9.5 hours from Pennsylvania to Kentucky, and I was struggling severely with chronic TMJ pain for years at this point, to the point where I would yawn and I would just cringe and couldn't move. Or I'd be biting into some food and I would just jerk because it was so painful and have tears coming out of my eyes. It was really, really severe chronic pain. Yeah, I was walking around all the different booths. I saw Andrew with this machine and I'm like, things looks weird. I'm like, it looks like a medieval torture device. I'm just gonna avoid that. But I went to all the other places, I did the tinctures and I did the readings of your meridians and took all the things, rubbed the creams. Nothing was helping. I mean, maybe I got 20 to 30 minutes relief. And I was in line for this company that sold a cream was supposed to take away your inflammation and pain instantaneously. And you were like, I was in line for that. And you were like, come on over here, come try this. And I'm like, oh no, he's trapped me. I
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. So I went and I sat down and you put the loop over my head. And I remember you had it on very low and you turned it on. And I was like, oh my God, turn it down.
Yeah.
Because I would, energetically, I'm a sensitive human, something that probably wouldn't bother most people. I felt it. I felt it in my heart. You worked on me for 9 minutes that day. That's it, 9 minutes. And the next day, I recall this crystal clear because my pain situation was so bad. I was like, this is
Yeah.
a 40% reduction in my pain. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, after 9 minutes. And then I
And you
went
came
back.
back to tell me. Yes.
I came back every day for the rest of the seminar, which was
Oh,
another
yeah.
3 days. So you worked on me 3 days in a row for 9 minutes a day. I was fully 100% pain free for 2 weeks. And then
Yeah.
I got a massage and I was pain free for another 2 weeks. A
Yeah.
massage bought me 30 minutes to an hour in the past. And now a massage bought me 2 weeks because
It,
of, yeah, it
and
was,
that it's the same story with me. I went to a conference. I had a pain behind my scapula. I used it for 9 minutes each day of the conference. It was gone the day I was packing up. A month later, no pain. A month later, I had a machine and I was selling these things. Like, and same thing with you. A month, it's crazy how the energy affects people. Like you just know it's right for you. That's what I try to do when I'm at these conferences and give people that experience.
I was ready to start looking into surgery. That's how bad I was. I had tried everything. I'm so grateful that you roped me in that day and literally saved. I feel like it saved me, because I was about to have to go and have everything surgically realigned and
You're put in front of people on purpose, right? You're supposed to meet certain people, and that was a weekend that just put us together there, Amber. So it was good. But I want to talk about maybe a client that just really thrived with PEMF. It made you like take a step back and say like, wow, like this is incredible what I'm seeing with this patient. If you do you have a story like that?
I'll just throw out a couple really quickly
Okay.
because there's so many incredible ones. And I remember starting right from the very beginning when you came out to do the training at Thrive. There was a woman who had pitted edema for years, and you were doing a demo, and you demoed on her right leg,
Yes.
and you did the PMF all down her leg. And the next day she called me and said, "What the hell happened? My foot doesn't fit in my boots anymore," because her boots had stretched out. It had been like 8 months she was struggling with this. Nothing was getting rid of it. She was a nurse. And now she had one leg that was skinny and normal and one leg that was still swollen with pitted edema. And she's like, "Please help me. I want to be able to get both of my legs back to normal." And
I
that
think they ended up getting back to normal, right? Both
yeah, yeah,
sides. They,
and it
yeah.
stuck. The therapy stuck. That was one day.
I remember her. I remember that. I remember she sat down and one leg was way swollen and the other one wasn't. And it was, she said it's been like that since birth.
It was
Yeah.
gone.
I want to say she had mentioned that like when she was born, there was like a problem with one of her legs when she was coming out or something. It was all her. So that leg was always swollen for like her whole life. And then yeah, it went back to normal. Like I still tell that story too, Amber. I do. Like I remember that gal. That was great. Yeah.
Yes, that was very impactful. Another one was a client who was undergoing chemotherapy and radiation and had reached the point that this was before I was using PEMF with people who had cancer. Hadn't quite gotten there yet. You know, it was in the office and we were just using it on people who were coming in for pain and various things. Well, I said, let me try this PEMF, and I brought the unit out to her home. And this was a client that I had known for a long time at this point and was working with her integratively to support her with the cancer therapy. But she wasn't going to make it. She said, I'm going to tell the doctors that I'm stopping treatments because I can't handle the side effects. It was devastating. She was weak. She had severe diarrhea. She couldn't get off the toilet. The whole body felt horrible and achy. And she's like, "I can't live like this. Like, I'd rather die." I was like, "Let me come to your house." So she hobbled to the door. She had dark circles under her eyes. He put the PMF on her for 30 minutes. I'm not even kidding you. She walked me to the door normally. The dark circles under her eyes had lifted, and she's like, "I'm feeling better." Like, I'm surprised, like, that quickly I could start feeling better. I went back to her for the next 2 days that week, and by Friday, she was out running errands. We kept doing PMF with her. She did a church fundraiser. The church bought her a machine so she could have one. She had bile duct cancer, which was misdiagnosed as pancreatic cancer. And that unit helped her get through all of her chemotherapy treatments and helped her keep going for another 2.5 years of, gaining quality of life. And to me, that was a really impactful story.
Yeah. I mean, I get them all the time. I get stories like that where, people just they're fighting stuff and, they get more time. They have a much better life at the end there, and some people they go into remission and they stay in remission. So I get these stories all the time and it's just because it's so immediate. We talk about those cells getting to the right charge and all of a sudden they're getting these spurts of energy and they're absorbing nutrients again and feeling better. And I always tell people use this machine 3 times a week for a month, and I'm telling you, you're gonna feel better next month. And they do. It's very easy. There's no wrong way to use it. You just got to get the energy to go through you and you feel better. Just think of all the people now we can help, Amber, with these home units. you
Oh
know?
yeah, the home units are really exciting. I was actually hoping you could just speak really quickly about the Jumpstart unit, because that is the most portable, user-friendly, financially friendly unit that.
Yeah, the jump starts, they start at 5,500 bucks. I mean, that's less than the low power devices. That's less that are out there. I would say the top five. It's still less than those. The jump start is the size of a tissue box, and it comes in a couple different ways. We have a single connect, which is just your single loop, 12-inch loop goes, and you can just move it around the body. You can place it on the torso. You can kind of give it a little twist and wrap it around the joints. Great little machine. One attachment. It's light. You can travel with it. I have like this little battery, like a, and I can plug it into that battery. I can do it in the car, which is nice. It doesn't draw a lot of power, so people in like motorhomes and things like that, they love them. Also, you can order in a double loop. It's an oversized double loop, so it still fits over your head. I kind of had it on there a second ago, and so that we kind of get the best of both worlds. You can move it around the torso and then wrap it around a joint. A lot of people like that one because it's a little more versatile loop. We also make one that is permanently attached to a therapy mat. And these are more of, autoimmune disease, people who really need to focus on charge of their body, even wound healing, bed sores, things like that. But having a mat attached to the unit is a little bulky. So when people are going to get a mat, I encourage them to get the versatile unit, which is you can interchange. They're a little bit more, but I have a little promotion where, if you do buy the mat, then I'll throw in the loop, or a single or double loop. We have helmets now for people who are going to use it for cognitive issues, any kind of mood issues. There is a giant PEMF device that's used for depression. I don't know if you've heard of the Neurostar, but 80% success rates with depression. It just got reclassified to work on kids also. So how safe is that, right? We also have a seat. There's a seat that you can use and sit on and work on the pelvic floor. You can work on prostate stuff, tailbone pain, things like that people use the seat for. The jump start is the beginning. If that's where you are budget wise, if that's where you are with having something portable, if that's where you are just where you want to get pulsing into your body, that's where you start. If you need some more power, you're going to jump up in price to our next series of machines. You're an athlete, you're competing, you're training for a marathon, you're doing something, you're probably going to need a little more power for scar tissue and different things. If you're a small practice, maybe you're a naturopathic doctor, maybe you see only 10 patients a week, very small, you might need Jumpstart might work fine. Or you could go into the next level up. So we have a good variety, but the Jumpstart, that's the beginning. That's where you start. That's how we're going to help a lot of people, especially these integrative centers, because they're only focused on keeping the charge correct, and the Jumpstart can do that. If you can get that charge to the right cell membrane potential, the Jumpstart is plenty of power. So it's
Yeah,
good.
I've spent years using this technology and, people want it, but they just couldn't afford it.
They
So
couldn't.
this is very exciting to me to know that we have the strength, the level of Gauss, the intensity that we're looking for in the pulsed, you
Yeah.
know, uh, therapy realm, not
Yeah.
in just having a low grade frequency coming out where you don't feel anything, and that people can have them in their homes to
Yeah.
help themselves.
Yeah, and
Really.
a lot of people just live too far away from the nearest machine. They live too
Oh yeah.
far. It was like a
Well,
2
I'm
hour
always
drive to go to the doctor. Yeah.
I'm like, who has one of these in, Dallas? Who has
Yep.
one in, England? I mean, I know the poor Andrew. I'm like multiple times a year. I'm like, where, because I'm talking to people and I'm like, you gotta get on one of these units. And so we're
Yeah.
always looking who has one, but they should be in every doctor's office across the country and around the world. I mean, that's the bottom line. This
Yeah.
technology should be in every single medical office, physical therapist, chiropractor's office, naturopathic doctor, and technically, yes, in everybody's home. This should be accessible free around the world. We literally start to decrease all of our medical costs. The decline of health, not only in the American culture, but around the world, is an epidemic. I hope, I pray someday that this technology, that people have access to it everywhere.
I always tell people, like, or doctors, said, even if you didn't charge not $1 for this therapy, the referrals alone that you would get would pay for the machine. I hate to put clients as a dollar amount, but every new client brings in money to a practice, no matter how you slice it. Just by having the equipment and someone saying, I went to that doctor and I used this machine and I feel so much better, you need to try it, is worth thousands of dollars to the doctor in the future. So I always tell people, help people, show people the machine, and the money will come later. I always say that to my salespeople too. Like, you just demonstrate it. You demonstrate it. You show people, you help people. You get out there and you yell at that girl rubbing her jaw and you say, get over here. Because it will come. The money will come. And I don't know how many machines and people you've sent me over the years just because I did that. That's just saying, this technology is there. It's for everybody. I wish it was free, but someone's got to pay for the machines, and
That's
that's,
right.
and the thing is you get it in return, with your good health and referrals down the way. So
I'm happy and delighted to continue sending people to you and to bringing this technology to every single person that I possibly can. 90% of my 6-month program, wellness program clients have PEMF included in their package. It goes right to their house. They get it for a month, so they get to experience it. They get the benefits, because most conditions will benefit from pulsed electromagnetic field. So yes, I'm so grateful for you, Andrew. I am so grateful you came into my life. I get to live pain-free every day, and I've gotten to help hundreds of people, probably more than hundreds at this point. It's been a long time. It's been 11 years. So, but thank you.
I always try to get the opinion of people like you, because you see it, and you have a time in your life pre PEMF and post PEMF in your practice. And so all this eating the right foods and these taking the right supplements and doing these IVs and detoxing and earthing and grounding and all the things. Do you think you could do all that without PEMF? You think PEMF is all that other stuff is enough? You think that really, like, PEMF is like what makes a difference?
I'll give my honest opinion. It depends on the client, it depends on the person's case and condition. I absolutely have seen people make incredible turnarounds without PEMF, through
Mhm.
nutrition, through supplementation. Some people don't like the feeling of a pulse. Some people don't like electricity. For example, I have a client that I'm working with. We're wrapping up a 6-month program. Kind of miraculous, actually. She had had chronic diarrhea for about 25 years. And within 6 weeks of working together, changing her diet and putting her on supplementation, it was gone within 6 weeks. No PEMF. She had a PEMF in her package though. So finally, when the PEMF came to her, she tried it and she was like, this isn't for me. And she told me she had been electrocuted. She had had an experience where she was electrocuted and she was scared of anything that
Yeah.
had electrocuted. So, yeah, can these things on their own work and help and generate change? 100%. Can PEMF accelerate, and especially for people who have really severe chronic issues, literally be the turning point? 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a holistic practitioner. I owned a wellness center. I was at a pain level 7 to 10 every day for years. I
Yeah.
was getting chiropractic care. I was getting massage. I was getting acupuncture. I was eating healthy. I was taking vitamins. I was doing all these things. That was not fixing, it was not fixing my problem.
Yeah.
So, I think it's on a case by case basis. But like I said, I think 95% of the time you put PEMF into the mix and you will not regret it.
A quick point on our Jumpstart machine: the first two settings you can't feel. First setting is 10 pulses per second, which is what every major study of PEMF over the past 30 years was based on. 10 hertz, 10 pulses per second. They thought the frequency of the earth was 10 pulses per second until Schumann realized it was 7.83. Well, guess what the next setting up is? 7.83. Okay, so that's where you're earthing, grounding, calming the nervous system, helping with stress and anxiety. Um, it, and those two settings you can't feel there. It's very gentle. There are some pretty sensitive patients, you might be able to feel it. They're designed for that, to sit through an IV in quiet without hearing the ticking. Some people want that, and so that's why we have those two settings in there. And then in the rest of the settings, there's three more intensities that you can feel. We embed 7.83, so it's in the background.
Love
So it's
that.
going to calm your nervous system. It's going to help with the circulation. It's going to help with inflammation. It's going to do all the great things that PMF benefits. Um, and you're going to have that big pulse on top. So it's kind of, I wanted to make that point because you have that gal is afraid of electricity. And I've had that too. I've had people that are like, no, I was shocked. And I don't want to be around any kind of energy like that. But with these machines, we kind of thought about that too. We know there's some people out there that don't want to feel anything. They just want to know that they're being charged up. So
Right.
good. Well,
Right.
thank you. I, I always want to know that I'm making a difference. And when I tell all these doctors, this will help your patients, this will help, this will do it, this is going to take them over the edge. It's good to get that feedback. Appreciate it. Do you have another one for me? Are we good? Do we have another question?
I know we've been on for quite a bit here, but if we want to squeeze one more in, I would say I want to know what your most incredible testimonial is that you've personally seen because you've got 17 years under your belt. I only have 11. So,
Oh gosh. Um, I have a lot of stories. Even, horses, dogs, people, tumors, all kinds of stuff. There's one that does stick out, and it was probably what what really hit me and told me that I was making a difference. I don't really tell this story often. I get sad, but I had a gentleman bought our machine. He had never felt it. Basically, he found it. He called in, got some questions, put his credit card down, and bought it. And I was the person sent out to train him. So I flew out. We were in New York by the Niagara Falls. I remember in Buffalo, I think I flew into. We met at the hotel that I was staying at. We met in the lobby. And he comes in and great smile on his face with his wife. We sit down at the table and we're talking, we're having a great conversation. He's excited that I'm there to show him about the machine and how to use it. And he had the machine probably about a month by the time I got out there. He had the machine. So we're talking and his wife gets up and she says, "Oh, excuse me, she had to use the restroom or whatever." And so it was just me and him sitting there, and he leans in and he goes, "Hey, Andrew, my wife's not here, but I wanted to tell you this." And I said, "Okay." He's like, "My injury to my foot was so painful. I I have been in pain with this foot every single day since the accident happened. It was a pallet jack, an electronic pallet jack crushed his foot. And he had pain that was unbearable 24 hours a day." He said, "Andrew, I was getting my affairs in order because I was going to end my life. I bought this machine because it was the last hope that I had. And after the first session with this machine, the pain went down. And I've been using it every single day. And you saw me walk in here. I'm not in pain today." I didn't even know what to say to that. I was like, wow, like, you think, do I really save lives? Yes, this man was at a point where he was not going to live with that pain anymore. And it was his last effort to try and get rid of this pain. And it worked. And and that's why he was so excited to see me, because he wanted to tell me that. And that story sticks with me to this day. I am making a difference. I'm supposed to be doing this work. I'm supposed to be helping people. And I've seen it. I've seen, I've seen bed sores close. I've seen holes in people's heads from surgery where they had tubes close and the doctor couldn't believe that the hole closed in their head. There's so many things that I hear. It just motivates me to keep at it and just keep showing people the equipment. Just keep showing it to people. Amber, you show everybody, and that's what I love about you. You are always like, this, you got to be on this, you need this, let's do it. And people listen and they get the results.
All right. Well, I think we both asked each other all of our questions, and I guess I would just, for me, want to wrap up and say, if you have any additional questions about pulsed electromagnetic field, reach out to myself or reach out to Andrew. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
And we will be happy to get you connected with the information that you need, depending on where you live, potentially support you in getting a trial on a unit, potentially ship a unit to you through a rental. We have different options for getting people support in having this technology. And yeah, we're here to help you. We're here to help you rebalance and help you heal your own body.
Yeah, we're here for you. If you listen to this conversation and you have any motivation to give us a call and check us out, please do. Go to the website, learn all you can. Learn about everything. I always tell people, do your research, come to the conclusion that these machines are right for you and buy the best possible unit that you can get. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. It's confusing. I don't know how many times people call me and just have a conversation with me because they are so confused about all the different stuff out there. And I don't mind having the conversation. And I think, maybe I need to do a recording of just that conversation, right? Of all the different stuff and why people are so confused. But I had a great time today. Thank you, Amber. It was awesome.
Me too. And thank you for our hostess with the mostest, Danny. I don't know, y'all might not be able to see her on this video, but she's awesome. And she's the one who edited this and took out all of our bleep, blurp, blops, whatever they are. So thank you.
So if you are interested in PEMF and you want to check out the products and go to feelthepemf.com and shop around and throw some things into that cart, Amber has a code that you can type in and it takes $100 off your order. Amber, will you tell the code, please?
$200 off the order. I want to get,
200?
yes,
Okay. Woo.
yes, because I want people, I want people to do this. Do it, people. Okay, so for you get $200 off. You'll type in time to thrive. So TIME number two and then thrive.
That's awesome, Amber. Your clients are going to love that. It's a great deal. So, you can order it right online and use the code and get a little discount for knowing Amber. How about that?
Thank you, Andrew.